Greetings, US 1 history students. My name is Mr. Goldberg, and on Thursday, I will be your guest teacher. I'll probably also be your teacher next year when you pick up at 1877 and go to 2018, which for most of you will be the end of your junior year. On Thursday, we're going to learn more about the Mexican-American War, or as it's known in Mexico, the American Invasion. Do you ever think about who gets to name the wars? And do you know what the Vietnam War is called in Vietnam? I'll just leave that question with you for a minute. To prepare for class on Thursday, what I want you to do is watch part of a video and write about it in a form. And I'll show you what the form looks like later in this video. Actually, that's not quite right. I want you to do more than just watch. I want you to engage. Watching is passive. Engaging is active. It means stopping the video, thinking, and then even writing down some of your thoughts. I'll show you what I mean in this video. So during study hall on Tuesday, when you're done watching this short video that I've made, I want you to watch the first 12 minutes and 30 seconds of a video about the Mexican-American War. And you get to that video by clicking this link right here. So let's look at the opening lines of the video together. It starts by saying, "This was the war that Abraham Lincoln called unconstitutional, and Ulysses S. Grant labeled one of the most unjust wars ever waged. But the president who waged it, James Polk, believed the U.S. had ample cause." Sorry, the transcript was wrong there. I just fixed it now. So the U.S. had ample cause. Known as Mr. Polk's War, its goal was to expand America's border to the Pacific by taking nearly half of Mexico's territory. It was the first battle for West Point graduates Ulysses S. Grant, George McClellan, and Robert E. Lee. But ultimately it was a clash of politicians and of soldiers that dramatically changed the fortunes of two neighboring countries. So I'm guessing you have some questions at this point. Why would a war be called unconstitutional? What would that mean? We'll talk about that at the beginning of class on Thursday. But who is this Ulysses S. Grant guy? And why does he say the war is so unjust? What does it mean for a war to be unjust? Who is James Polk? And how did he get to be president? And who are these guys? George McClellan and Robert E. Lee. So here's a picture of James Polk. Did you know that he actually went to UNC? It's true. He is a Tar Heel. He actually played shooting guard. And as it mentions here, his experience in playing ball with Mexico has made him fierce. That's not true. But if you Google James Polk UNC and do an image search, this image will show up. You can see that I've recorded where I got my source from down here, and that's a good practice to get into. Whenever you do research on the internet, you should say where you got your information from, because as you know, some sources are more reliable than others. So this is sort of a preview of what you're going to be doing coming up. But who is Ulysses S. Grant? If you're not sure, Google him. That's what's great about being at RTHS. We can use the internet to learn all sorts of stuff. Same with George McClellan and Robert E. Lee. And you might know that West Point is the U.S. military academy. I was wondering, when was it started? So I looked it up and found out it was started by Jefferson. But after the War of 1812, which you know about, the British burned the White House and Congress, the folks thought that the West Point needed some revamping, so they made it a bit stronger. But these folks, McClellan, Lee, and Grant, all fought during the Mexican-American War on the same side, and they're going to fight against each other in the Civil War. And I want to find out from you in class what you already know about the Civil War. You may know that about 750,000 people were killed. It was the biggest war the United States has ever been in. And in a sense, everything from this point on in your course is going to be a lead up to the Civil War, except for the very last part of your course, which is a look at Reconstruction after the Civil War. there's going to be heightening tensions between the North and the South, ultimately leading 7 states from the South to secede from the Union. So when Lincoln is elected president in 1860, these 7 states here all say, we are leaving the Union. And then shots are fired at Fort Sumter off the coast of South Carolina. And then these 4 states say, okay, we'll join the South. And these border states here, West Virginia actually breaks off from Virginia and goes with the North. But Maryland and Kentucky and Missouri are loyal slave states. So they have slaves in them, but they decide to stay with the Union. It's a little more complicated than that. You'll explore that in class, I'm sure. But what's interesting about this map is that it just sort of takes for granted that normal shape of the U.S. that we're used to, where this is the borderline. And in fact, a great deal of the U.S. used to be Mexico. And you'll learn more about that when you watch the video. So as you watch the video, I want you to think of questions the way I thought of questions here, and then just like hit pause and record 2 moments in the video that you found interesting and that you wonder something about. So I'll click on the form in a second, but you should ideally do this by 3 on Tuesday, but I won't see them till 5. So get this work done by 5 p.m. on Tuesday, fill out the form, and when you fill it out, well, let me show you what the form looks like. When you click the link, it should take you here. It asks, who are you? And so if you are in 4th period, you'll write 4, and then your last name, and then your first name. Please don't put commas or dashes or anything in here, because I'm going to sort this in a spreadsheet. So just do 4 space, your last name, your first name. So if I were in 4th period, I would be Goldberg Steve. And if you are in 6th period and your name is Mike Krzyzewski, I went to Duke. That's how you would do that. So your period, space, your last name, space, first name. And then you would say something like, at the 6:12 mark of the video, it mentioned whatever you found interesting. I wondered whatever you were wondering. And then your second moment is at the, 9:42 mark. And then when you're done, you hit submit. There we go. So just so we're clear, here's what you might fill out at the 12-minute mark. The video actually does talk about flying artillery. And so I was wondering how many cannonballs a cannon would typically have with it during a battle. Is it like 10? Is it 50? Is it 100? And how big would a cannonball be? And how many cannonballs could you fire in a minute? All those are questions about that moment. So that's one, and then I would pick one other moment from the video and ask some questions. You don't have to answer your questions, just ask them. That's what historians do. They ask questions. So again, this is the basic format. Please follow that format, and I look forward to working with you. If you want to get to this document, if you go to bit.ly/mexamwarvideo, it'll take you to this document, and it's got the transcript from the first 12 minutes of the video. If I scroll down here, that's the transcript. It's not a perfect transcript, but it's pretty good. And when you do bit.lys, capitalization matters. So it's capital M, capital A, capital W, and capital V in Mexam or video. And I'll make that bigger for you right here in this video, just because that's fun to do. There you go. So again, I look forward to working with you on Thursday. Take care. 2 final points. I just reviewed my video, and I thought it would be easier to see the capital letters. I made them red, so there they are for you. But bit.ly/ and that'll take you to this document. And then finally, I made a mistake. And I think this is important to talk about, because when you do history, I really want you to be taking risks, and you should be making mistakes. And the idea is that you should learn from the mistakes that you make. It's not a bad thing to make a mistake. So I said that the border states, where I said West Virginia broke off from Virginia, which is true. That doesn't happen until a little later in the war. You can look up when that happened. If you Google West Virginia, you could do that. And then I said that this is Missouri and Kentucky and Maryland, which is kind of true. But if you look close in here, next to Maryland, between Maryland and New Jersey, is Delaware. And Delaware was also a state that had slaves, and it is one of the border states. When you look up border states, Maryland and Delaware are both involved there. So history is pretty complicated, and it's easy to make mistakes, and it's okay to make mistakes. But I look forward to seeing the questions that you have when you watch the video, and I look forward to working with you on Thursday. And finally, if you have any questions, please email me. There's my email.